Okay, guys, so at this point, you do need a calculator. So if you don't have your own calculator, either grab one from the front or share with a neighbor. Okay, you're going to want to use the TI-30XS, the multi-view. And I'm going to attach another video that shows you how to solve these using a calculator. But I'm going to walk you through these verbally on your guided notes here. So the first step I want you guys to do is to press the table button on your calculator. Then we're going to enter in the equation. We're going to have 3, open parentheses, the number 2, close parentheses. Then you're going to hit the caret button. It looks like an upward facing arrow. And you're going to raise that to the power of x. So if you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7th button down on your calculator, it has x and then it also says y, z, t, a, b, c on it. If you click that, that will give you the variable x. So your calculator should now read y equals 3 times 2 to the power of x. You're going to hit enter a few different times here. So it says start is equal to whatever value you have it at. Step should equal 1. You're going to hit enter for auto, and you're going to hit enter for OK until you get to this table. Once you have the table, you're going to want to fill in the values. So for my table, I have where x equals -2, y is equal to 3/4. Guys, if you hit the toggle button, which is like the 2 arrows that are facing apart from each other above the enter button, it will also give you these values in decimal form. You just have to make sure you highlight the values. So 3/4 is the same thing as saying 0.75. At -1, our y value is at 3/2. At 0, our y value is at 3. At 1, our y value is at 6. And at 2, our y value is at 12. So let's see if we can graph this. So I know where x equals -2, I got a y value of 3/4, so it's going to be somewhere close to 1, but not quite at 1. At -1, we have a y value at 3/2, which is 1.5. At 0, we have a y value at 3. At 1, we have a y value at 6. And at 2, we have a y value at 12, which goes off the graph. So if you guys look at that, it has a general exponential shape. So let's figure out what the initial value, change factor, asymptote, growth, decay is before we actually draw this. So if you were to look at your calculator and keep going negative, you will notice that this approaches 0, but it never actually touches 0. So if you get to like -15, it gives you numbers like 0.000091553 repeating. Like it's just going to keep giving you values, okay? So I know that this is getting close to 0, but we can actually tell that. Guys, we learned what the horizontal asymptote was earlier. That's our k value. Look at the equation y equals 3 times 2 to the x power. There's not a k value listed, so it's understood to be a 0. So therefore, we should have a horizontal asymptote where y equals 0. Well, guys, that's just your x-axis, isn't it? So I know that my graph here cannot cross that value. So if I draw the rest of my graph, I know that it's going to be approaching 0, and then I can connect the dots here. My initial value, well, that's the number outside of the parentheses. So in this case, my initial value is 3. Guys, if you notice that, your initial value in this case, because your asymptote was at y equals 0, your initial value should also be your y-intercept, which is 0, 3. Your change factor in this case was 2. And because we had a positive change factor that is greater than 1, this is a growth function. All right, let's go back to our calculators. You're going to hit the table button again, and you're going to also hit the clear button. So that gets us out of this equation. So we're going to enter in 3, open parentheses 2, close parentheses. You're going to do the upward arrow, and you're going to enter in the button X. Now, guys, at this point, you're stuck in exponential mode. So you're going to need to hit the right arrow, and then do +3. Make sure you're working together through these. I will also post the video so you guys can see how the calculator works. All right, and then you're going to press enter until you get to your table functions, and we're going to look at where x is -2 first. So where x is -2, I've got y as a value of 15/4. If you hit toggle on that, that's going to tell you that your y is 3.75. All right. Then I'm going to look where x is -1. That's going to give me a y value at 9/2, which is the same thing as saying 4.5. If I look where x is equal to 0, I'm going to have a y value at 6. Where x is 1, I'm going to have a y value at 9. And where x is 2, I'm going to have a y value at 15. So let's graph these. At -2, I've got a y value at 3.75, so that's almost 4. Be somewhere there. At -1, I'm going to have the y value at 4.5, so that's in between 4 and 5. At 0, I have a y value at 6. At 1, I have a y value at 9. And at 2, I have a y value at 15, which goes off the graph. Now let's look at our horizontal asymptote. Well, our k value in this case is 3, so I'm going to have a horizontal asymptote where y equals 3. So that means I cannot pass this invisible line here at 3. So if I draw my exponential function now, I can see that all my values are approaching this horizontal asymptote at 3. My initial value in this case is still 3. My change factor is still 2, but notice that my asymptote is 3. So look at where your y-intercept is. It's at 0, 6. Well, I know that my asymptote was 3. So if I go 3 above 3, that gets me to 6. So my y-intercept should be at 0, 6. So whatever you have at whatever your asymptote is, you're going to add your initial value to it to find your y-intercept. And guys, our change factor is still greater than 1. So therefore, this is a growth function. All right, guys, we're on to the homework. So if you will finish these 4 homework problems, that is it for the day. Make sure your Delta Maths are completed for Unit 2, and make sure you are up to date on all your work.